Hi, my name is Gilded Tempest, and welcome to my Anthem review. If you're here because you want to see probably what's in the tagline, which is why I decided to cancel my pre-order on Anthem. And before we get started, I just want to kind of mention something. I had Anthem pre-ordered since July 5th of 2018. The only reason I remember that is because I had to cancel my pre-order and it tells you the date that you pre-ordered it. I had a lot of high hopes for this game, and because of it, I went into this beta with a lot of confidence and optimism. But the thing is, the game it's not good. It feels unfinished and rushed, and you can really tell that it was made by separate people. I mean, it kind of feels like an art project you'd make in high school, where everyone would do one piece of it, and at the end you just stuff it all together. Even the fonts for the game and the different screens look like they were made by completely different companies for completely different games.
Let you in on a little secret.
I mean, besides that, there was a lot I found wrong with it, and I have a list right here that I'm going to go through. The first thing I kind of want to mention, and the thing that bothered me the most, is that a lot of the controls and systems were really unclear. I mean, sure, they gave you that patch of notes at the beginning of the game, but it didn't really help much when you actually got in and had to change your equipment, or you had to get to your javelin. It never really helped. I mean, it took me so long to realize that I could change my gun, and when I finally did, and changed my systems, it was the only reason that I was able to complete it, and it took me so long to get through every mission before it because I didn't know how to do that. I mean, sure, they briefly mentioned it in the notes, but they never told you where to go or how to use it, which is what I found frustrating. The other problem with a lot of the systems is like the expedition system. When you first get into your javelin, it prompts you at the screen asking what you want to do. Well, that screen is basically useless because it doesn't tell you really how to start a mission, and me and everyone I was talking to while they were playing the game struggled with figuring out how to do it. The only reason I figured it out is because I spent about 7 minutes trying to figure out how to start the first mission. And to be honest, that frustrated me a lot. Just think about this. I've gone through this much of what's frustrated me, and I haven't even gotten into the point where I'm talking about how the gameplay actually was. Now, getting into the actual expedition, it was terrible. I mean, fighting with the javelin and even moving around felt extremely clunky. The flight system wasn't explained to you, which is unfortunate because that's what most people want to do in this game. And when I finally did figure out to fly, I was very sad to realize that you could only fly for about 30 seconds in the middle of the line javelin. It's nothing, and because of that, it got really frustrating really fast. I want to start with the flying mechanics because I feel like that's what most people are here for, and this is what I have to say about them. It's like flying with clipped wings. They stop how high you can go, and for the most part, unless you're going down, you can't fly for long. I felt really attached and restricted by their flight system because the only way you can fly for long periods of time is if you fly over water because it cools your engines. Besides that, you really can't. And some elemental attacks some enemies have will actually overheat your engines before you take off. Once again, clipping your wings. But now that we've kind of gone over that briefly, because I don't want to spend too much time on it, I want to get back into what the first expedition was like for me. And like I said, it wasn't fun. The first time I opened up the game, EA was having so many problems with their servers, and you could tell. I mean, when I got in and anybody would join my game, it would start lagging like crazy, and I'd rubber band for 30 minutes before I'd get frustrated, quit the game, and try to reopen it. And that happened to me for hours. I mean, once the game demo actually released, I still couldn't play it. I still couldn't. I mean, half the time I joined, more like an eighth of the time I could actually get into the game. It was frustrating and made me want to play the game even less every time it had happened. I had hard reset my game, or my Xbox, about 3 times before it would let me into the game. And once I finally did, I'd get stuck with that lag. Luckily, later in the night, this finally stopped, and I won't hold it against the game because I don't know if that's the final product or just some server issues. But once I got into the game and it wasn't lagging, it just wasn't fun. A lot of the game is built around co-op play, and because of that, it forces you to play with other people. And to be honest, I don't like that. When I play a PvP game, a lot of the times I like to play alone. I know I'm not the only person that does that, but I like to play alone or I like to play with my friends. I'm not big for public play because it seems like every time you jump in you get one person who's just constantly dying, and I know how frustrating that can be. But this game forced me to play online with other people, and I had to accept it because there was no way I could play the game alone. A lot of the game was built with the 4 players in mind. When I got past the first area in the game, I was immediately stuck with about 8 turrets that I couldn't take on my own because I was just one person and there's 20 enemies on top of me already. That wasn't fun, and the only way I could use or escape them is by using my jetpack that had been taken down from a firebomb somebody threw at me. It was very frustrating to play this demo because I knew that I would be forced to play with people that I didn't know and I didn't want to play with. There's no game adjustment for how many enemies there are based on the amount of players, and because of this, it made it so I couldn't even get through a mission because I wasn't paired up with someone. Make no mistake, I did complete the beta. I did everything in it, and honestly, none of it felt new, none of it felt different, and it all felt the same. Most of the game was hold X to activate something, kill everyone in the area, defend it, and then move on to the next area and do it. And I just wasn't about that. I didn't have fun with it. And every mission took about 40 minutes because I was playing with one other person in an area designed for 4 other people with higher levels than we had. I mean, if a game is built like that, what do you think it's going to play like when it fully comes out? I think the worst part about the actual gameplay was the final mission. And I know I'm making a lot of statements here that you might not know anything about, but let me describe it to you. The entire gameplay is built around helping this one person find an artifact, and when it goes wrong, fixing it. But with this came something where enemies would come in 3s because of it, and instead of fighting one boss, you ended up fighting 3. The final mission has you fighting a Colossus boss with no weak points except for his arms when he's attacking you. That's not usually a problem. Except, when he's attacking you, it's immediate. When he hits you, you can't use your jetpack because he overheats you. And the attacks were so common that you spent more time dodging than you could hitting. It took me 50 minutes to finish that boss. 50. And I was trying hard with 4 other people. We were constantly going down trying to fight it, but every single attack he had either locked onto you or had such a wide area that you couldn't avoid it. It was frustrating, and it made the forced co-op feel even worse. The only reason we really got through it was because me and the other guy were lucky enough to figure out how to use the forge. The forge is how you change your equipment, and I barely changed anything, but it was the only reason that I could stay up for more than 5 minutes without dying. I had so many problems with this game, and a lot of it was because it felt clunky and overworked, but to be honest, it feels like it doesn't fit together. And I had so much trouble with the boss that, honestly, I didn't feel like I was playing a game. It felt more like work. I know that I've just gone on talking for a while, so I think I want to summarize. how I feel about a lot of the gameplay. So here, let me give you a clear defined list of the things I had wrong, or I felt were wrong about this game that made me cancel my pre-order. The gameplay was extremely clunky. None of the controls were explained to me well enough for me to use them. None of the systems in the game were explained to me well enough for me to use them. I had no options to change anything, including my screen size, which was a problem because it made it so I couldn't see my shield bar. The jetpack wasn't fun, and it felt more like a chore. There's way too many particle effects, and a lot of the gameplay, I couldn't see what was going on because there was 4 grenades blowing up at once. When I got in, it was nothing but lag, and there was nothing there to help me fix it, and once it stopped lagging, it wasn't fun. The beta was nothing but holding X and activating and then defending it. And the game is forced co-op, which I had a real problem with. I know a lot of these sound like opinions and little things, but the problem is all these little things really add up, and they make the game really hard to play, and not in a difficult way, but a frustrating way. I'm a guy that likes playing Dark Souls, and I've never complained much about the game because I felt that even though it was hard, it was fair, and even though the systems were a little rough, they were forgiving as much as they were unforgiving. But this game, it just feels like everything's against you, and everything's too focused on forcing you to buy it with a friend or to play it with people you don't know. That's my review. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching. If you really enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.